the highest inhabitable space in Ghana right now, Abitifi. Very important. The host of the Ramsia Presbyterian Church, correct?
Well, that's correct.
That's correct.
But I think we still hold the title.
We still hold the highest
habitable
space
in
Ghana.
Point in Ghana. That's correct.
And it's interesting that I must point out that Honorable Bryan Acheampong was a student of Presbyterian Boys Secondary School.
Precisely gone. That's correct.
And you were the dining hall prefect.
Yes, I was.
And today you are the Minister for Food and Agriculture.
Yes, I am.
Such a confluence of events.
That confluence doesn't even bother me. What bothers me is how you're able to switch from pidgin English to impeccable English. That's because I've been here for the past 30 minutes and it's been all pidgin. And then we start the show and then you just switch on to this impeccable English. What am I supposed to do?
Honorable, is
any warning?
Honorable is the Christian gentleman in me.
Can you imagine?
We are happy to have you in the studios this morning.
Good to be here.
And we are excited about the news that is coming from your quarters, from the government. You dubbed it the big announcement. And we are learning that in excess of 68% increment.
63.
In fact, of 63% increment in the cocoa producer price. And this is announced as a big game changer. A number of analysts have looked at this and have indicated that it's going to be changing a lot. What influenced this drastic increment in the producer price of cocoa?
Well, I think the president wanted the farmers paid a fair price for their crop because it's just good for the industry, it's good for the farmers, and it's good for Ghana. A well-paid, remunerated farmer means that the industry becomes attractive. The farmer community is uplifted, and then generally, when the crops are in, it means that more foreign exchange coming into our coffers. So the president preferred that strategy to milking those who are struggling to produce, and then we have a mega crop quantity, and therefore mega foreign exchange earnings. So it was to do right by the farmer, do right by the farming community, and eventually do right by Ghana. And that's the approach that we decided to take.
And I mean, doing right by the farmer, doing right by the market, doing right by Ghana, I mean, it is expected. And people are wondering, if we're able to do this now, how come it was? Because this has been a call by a lot of the farmers for a very long time, because we knew some of even these farmers were selling off their cocoa farms for other purposes. What made it so incumbent at this point in time that we decided that we are going this drastic?
Well, I think there's different strategies in implementing different things, different approaches to doing things. When I was appointed, I think the president gave me 3 assignments. First, to look at ways that I can ensure within a very short time our food security and food resilience. The second task that he gave me was looking at the cocoa sector turnaround with a focus on the cocoa price. And the third one was import substitution agenda. These are the 3 things that he called me and asked me that this is what I want to do. Are you able to do it? I said, I can't make promises. Agric is not my background. I have the energy and I can learn very fast on the job. And I said, okay, go and give it a shot. When I got there, I looked at the assignment that he had given me, and I took it one by one. And the first is to assemble the cocoa board team, and I said, look, this is what I want done. I want a price that the farmers will appreciate. I want a price that Ghanaians will accept. I want something that will turn this cocoa board and the economy around. So we started doing the numbers day and night. I mean, we did it with a producer price review committee. I did it with a board. I was very clear that we cannot ride on the back of the cocoa farmers for a lot of the excesses that we have in the system. And therefore, I want a percentage that will be paid to farmers, and then whatever is left, cocoa board can go and manage it at first from it. If they want to do cocoa roads, if they want to do fertilizer, want to do fumigation, this is the percentage that you have from the cocoa price. I think there was some understanding of it. We have to bounce it off with Ministry of Finance, because you know that agric has everything to do with the finance.
In fact, hitherto Cocoa Board was aligned under the Ministry of Finance.
Exactly. It's a strong pillar of our economy. So we had to bounce it off with them because of the IMF program, and a lot of things have gone in. But in the end, the farmers won. But the question that you asked is quite significant. If we could have done it, why haven't we done it? Why are we doing it now? One key thing that we have not done since cocoa started in the 40s, 50s, 60s is how we've structured our what they call the producer price mechanism. They do what we call net FOB.
The freight on board.
Yes, net freight on board, which is basically, in simple accounting terms, all the expenditure that Cocoa Board incurs is added to the cost of goods sold. Okay, so when you're doing your accounting, you take your revenue and then cost of goods sold, and then
the other administrative expenses.
Exactly, then you begin to. But it was in the reverse at Cocoa Board. You realize that they have the end price, which is achieved price on the market, and then they come and take out all their expenditure, fertilizer, buoy dam payments, cocoa roads, everything is taken out of that. Then whatever is left, they share with the cocoa farmer. And that's what I say, I'm not going to agree to this formula. I mean, they say, look at the walls here. This is what we did in 1940. Look at the board members that approved that. Look at this. I said, well, I'm not going to approve this structure. We're going to change the net FOB computation to gross FOB.
Okay,
so that was a game changer, changing the calculation. And for me, the gross FOB simply means that whatever the market we achieve on the market, in this case, we achieved 2,600. I said, look, which is we achieved 2,200 plus a living income differential of $400. I said, pass that thing on to the farmer. So we achieved $2,600. I said, pay the farmers a percentage. Now let's agree on the percentage that we're going to pay to farmers. And then in the end, we agree that we're going to pay the farmers 70.5%. And Cocoa Board is now going to manage their affairs with the
remaining 29.5%,
which has never happened. So going forward, I pray that it becomes, and I'm going to see if I can run it through Parliament, that instead of the convention of net FOB, we legislate a gross FOB
arrangement
method of paying cocoa prices, so that today we know that the world market price is 3,800, and that is what next year's cocoa price, because that's what we are selling. We are selling the beans now to pay for the contracts that we achieved in 2022. The market price now, we are now selling the contracts for that beans, and then we will pay the farmers and supply it in the 2024-25 season. I pray that if it is the case, then we are going to be hovering still around maybe 68 to 70% of the gross FOB, and that's really great news for farmers. And so this is what has changed in our calculation.
Because I was wondering what it was. So at least two things I want to get confirmation. One, what you're saying is you are selling forward.
That's how Cocoa Board.
So you are hedging. So that is one.
Right.
Then the second bit, how we able to come here. Hitherto, it was a full cost recovery, including overheads of Cocoa Board and its operational costs. Before the amount left, that is what is considered for the farmer. However, now you are going for the gross price as is sold at the market, agreeing a percentage to go to the farmer.
Straight up.
The remainder, Cocoa Board should manage how he uses that to cover its cost.
That's how we're going to. Look, this is what we have done this year. If the president keeps me there for next year, that's what
you intend to continue
I
doing.
intend to continue to do, and I between now and then I'll see if I can run it through Parliament because that's the surest way that we can guarantee that the farmers are going to get the best price. And for the next 3-4 years, we are projecting that the price of cocoa is going to go up, and Ghana will take full advantage of that opportunity, and farmers are going to be in big.
They will be all the better for it. 3 things you indicate clearly as the mandate that the president gave you. 1, to deal with food security.
Right.
2, to deal with the cocoa pricing. And 3, import substitution.
Right.
And so, I mean, your work is clearly cut out for you. I'm sure when you entered the ministry, and even before you did, having dealt with security and all, we know that a lot of farmers are giving off their cocoa farms to miners. Unfortunately, a good number of them illegal. How do you intend, with this introduction, your pricing mechanism now, among other things, how do you intend to bring people to see more the value in cocoa, being patient in the farming, because food security is big on your agenda, import substitution is big on your agenda. How are you going to use mechanisms like this to deal with this menace that we are all dealing with?
I think over time is going to work. First of all, the galamsey is not just bad for cocoa. It's bad for our environment. It's bad for general farming. It's bad for our rivers. It's bad for our long-term soil viability. It's just bad for us. And we cannot accept it or use cocoa as an excuse to discuss it, either on the MPP, NDC, CPP. It can be political. It's just bad for us. And so government action and public support must all be employed to deal with this aspect of our lives that is going to have significant consequence on our lifestyle if we don't deal with it now. The effect of cocoa is quite simple. It's the economics of it. I mean, if you are paid an acre of your land, let's say 10,000 Ghana cedis, and an acre of cocoa immediately will not give you 10,000 Ghana cedis, then you are tempted to
sell off the land.
Sell off the land. The only challenge is that, and that is what may not make sense, is that the following year you are not going to get 10,000 for the galamsey, but you can get another 10,000 for cocoa. But that notwithstanding, the pricing that I've seen, last year 800 Ghana cedis a bag, and the trappings of the galamsey people. I mean, it was a very, very difficult temptation. We are human beings. Extremely difficult temptation. I mean, if your acre of cocoa will get you 500 and then a galamsey person is offering 5,000, it's very difficult as human beings to resist that temptation, even though not advised. But with the prices that we are beginning to see on the cocoa market, we expect a natural decline in farmers offering their lands for galamsey. And those who will not decline, we will use government and public support to drive it out.
And now another menace in the space is the issue of smuggling. And so, and one of the things we have learned has been a pull factor for smuggling out is the price variations between our very close partner, but who is also a competitor, Ivory Coast. How does this new price compare with the pricing in Ivory Coast?
Well, Ivory Coast last year, when we were selling at 800, they were up about 1,100 thereabout, average price, because they don't regulate their market the way we do. We have Cocoa Board as a single point of sale.
Yeah.
The private sector is able to export cocoa and sell at whatever price that they can get on the market. So it's a bit different. The government controls about 30% of it, and they try to manage the price thereof. Even that one, I mean, they were paying substantially higher than us. And you know that a significant quantity of our cocoa comes from our western border. And in a lot of these communities, you have a house with the bedroom in Cote d'Ivoire and the living room in Ghana. And then you have farms that, are crossing between borders. Half of the farm is in Cote d'Ivoire, half of the farm is in Ghana. And they speak the same language. So if the price is right on the left, that's where human beings will go. That's just what it is, and if it is right on the right, that's where human beings will go, including yourself, Benjamin. So we have to find a way to match the price. You see, in Cote d'Ivoire, the government does not get involved much in cocoa production like we do here.
Okay.
We give all kinds of things in cocoa. Subsidized fertilizer, foliar, cocoa spraying, quite a lot is what we invest in our farmers in Ghana. In Cote d'Ivoire, you're on your own. And so governments, Ghana will not be able to offer, or should not even be able to offer the same price as much as Cote d'Ivoire does. And then if you look at their market, okay, a lot of private sector people, they'll buy the beans today and try and sell on the spot market and get the price that is on the market.
Oh, so they go with the spot markets.
Some of them, you see, in Cote d'Ivoire, last couple of years, they sell contracts. Because if you go on the world cocoa market, we produce, 800,000 metric tons averagely of cocoa. Last year, we didn't do much, 650,000. Cote d'Ivoire, almost 2 million metric tons. You see, if you go on the market, you don't sell 1,000 metric tons of cocoa in a day. On the world market, we are looking at 100 tons a day, 150 tons. That's how cocoa is sold. So if you wait to the cocoa season and say that I'm taking 800,000 metric tons to the market to sell, it will take you about a year to sell that.
So you need to sell forward.
You need to sell forward. That is what it is. You need to sell forward. But if you want to sell in those quantities, but there are very, very small processors who will buy 3,000 tons here, 5,000 tons here, 1,000 tons here, and they are able to deal with the private sector in Cote d'Ivoire. Okay, so a company like Cocoa Processing Company, they need 20,000 metric tons of cocoa. You have Wamco, you have
Cargill.
No, I mean I'm talking about in Ghana. You have plots. Those who process
here, like niche and all of those.
Niche and all those things. Niche probably about 1,000 metric tons a year. So you have all those kinds of processes scattered across the world. Okay, and they can buy in small contracts. But if you are talking about the Olams, the Cargill,
the Mondelez,
they are in hundreds of thousands of metric tons. And those ones are not being sold, cannot be sold in a day. You have to be able to plan to deliver. And they should also be able to forecast what their global supply chain will look like so that they can forecast their production to the markets and things like that. So that said, if you look at what we do for our farmers and what Cote d'Ivoire does for their farmers, then you should be able to say that, look, Ghana should not be able to pay
as much
as what Cote d'Ivoire pays because of the investment that we put in our farmers. But that in itself creates a big gap for smuggling because the cocoa farmer, notwithstanding the investment that you have put in him, there's not really any bond. He signed bond.
You're not stopped
at all. And I'm describing the relationship between the families, the farmers, and the borderlines, especially on the western line of things. So it's very easy to take it out. The west one is even on the eastern side of the border. Togo does not produce cocoa. But you realize that lately they are exporting cocoa.
They have a free port.
Where it's not coming from Central African Republic. It's from Nigeria. Are you with me?
Yes.
Why?
From their next
Next door neighbor.
Your guess is as good as mine. Why is it so? You have some merchants that have come to camp in Togo, and we know this for a fact. Okay, they've come to camp there, and all they're doing is giving almost spot The spot market today is $3,800. So if they entice you with $3,000, you are out of the way. We're paying $1,800, and they are creating a lot of problems. Look, since it came to camp in Togo, the cocoa from the northern, from Oti to Aflao, we call it the eastern zone. The eastern zone of our country has dropped by almost 80% in the main crop season.
80%?
I'm telling you, cocoa that is expected from that area has dropped by 80%. In the light crop season, which is June to when we opened cocoa in September 9th or so, not a single bean, one bean, like a babak, not one. I'm not talking about the cocoa pod. I'm talking about bean. Not a single bean
has come
from that zone to cocoa board. Zero, like one bean. I'm not talking about 1 ton or 1 bag. I'm talking about one bean.
I think the clarity is very...
Yes, I have to emphasize that. Do you understand?
Wow.
So it's not about patriotism here. It's about the economics of things. But we have also put in a lot of money investing in the cocoa sector in Ghana through a lot of programs. And this year, those merchants, they have to deal with me. They have to deal with me, and I promise on my honor on that one. They have to, because, well, either we stop it or they stop me, and that's just how it's going to be. So it's going to be an all-out game on our borders to stop all kinds of smuggling. And the smuggling that is I'm talking about, it's not just on cocoa. This year, I'm expecting a huge harvest from the northern sector of this country. This is their planting season, their main season. I'm expecting a lot of maize coming out of the northern region. In fact, almost all the crops that we are tracking, we're expecting over 60% on last year's production
increase.
Major, perhaps never seen in this country. That is what is coming out to the north. And I am going to do everything to protect that crop to stay in this country. We're going to have a lot of rice. We're currently at 49% self-sufficiency. The rice that is coming out to the north, probably will jump us to about 80% self-sufficiency if we keep it in Ghana. But we have all these paddy traders coming to take our paddy to our neighboring countries and all those things. This year, it's not going to happen.
And of course, they are dealing with someone who has a security background, who has a communications background. So in terms of tracking, in terms of securing the goods, you are very much ready for it.
I'm saying this year.
They shouldn't try you.
No. These are made in Ghana maize for Ghanaians. And made in Ghana rice for Ghanaians. And if you want to export our products, you come to the ministry. We'll look at our domestic consumption, and if we have excess, we'll allow you to export. But we will not allow one-time smuggling or export of our produce out of this country, either in collusion with some unpatriotic citizens here and there. That will not happen. This year is going to be a different ball game.
Clearly. And I'll be coming back to the food security and import substitution, but I'll let Kweku have a go on a few other angles of the conversation we've been having so far.
Yeah. We'll stay on the cocoa for now. I think that the move to increase the prices is a step in the right direction. The trade price as accepted for London's December is at $3.8 a kilo. We've kindly raised our pricing to, if you do the conversion, is now at about $1.8, which is quite high. Even though Cameroon has decided to also,
you are not comparing anything.
No, I'm building
you don't have, once you begin to build on that, you are on a wrong trajectory.
Why do you say so?
Because the current price being offered has nothing to do with the current world market price.
It's a futures contract.
It's a futures contract.
Exactly.
Yes.
So when you begin to speak like this, you're on a wrong trajectory. You have to take it at the price that we sold those contracts.
Which was the 800.
Which was $2,200.
That's right.
Yes.
That's for a ton.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I've actually come as low as a kilo.
Yeah, but those prices that you are giving are today's kilo.
These are spot pricing for the future.
Now.
No. This is December pricing.
Which December?
This is December as agreed in London price according to Reuters. One is 3.8 per kilo.
No. Check that
data. So we can check that data and get back to
the point I sought to make was this, that we've taken steps to improve on the pricing. There's quite some calls by some farmer associations that they were hoping for a better deal of about 3,000.
How are they going to get a 3,000?
Well, I mean, people are entitled to ask for what they believe they deserve.
Assess those comments and put it on and then give it traction on radio.
Well, I don't have all the facts. That's why I'm asking.
I'll try and help you.
You, from where you sit, what is the justification for what we've done now? And is that demand, for the lack of a better expression, a fair demand from the farmer associations who think that government could have done better?
But I'll call the two of you the adults. There is no demand from any cocoa associations in this country. What we have seen are applause.
Right.
From cocoa associations in this country. I mean, next week they called me yesterday to come to come and thank the president and myself. Across the country, cocoa farmers are calling, and it's full of applause. If over close to 1 million cocoa farmers, I have 12 people organized to make a press conference and make or say make some disparaging comments about this. It's not representative of the 1 million, close to 1 million cocoa farmers that we have to this country. There are cocoa parties being thrown for the prices that we have announced in cocoa communities. So somebody coming out and says they're a concerned cocoa farmer, one voice or 5 of them, and it becomes representative of the massive beneficiaries that we have in this country. I don't subscribe to that. We are paying 70.5% of the gross FOB price. My brother, it has never happened. It has never happened. Anybody, politicians, statisticians, mathematicians, social, they should give me any figure that has been paid in this country. We achieved 2,600, which is 2,200 of the world market price and an LID of $400. If you add it, it's 2,600. My guy, we paid 1,800, which is 70.5%. Nobody has ever paid that. The current world market price encourages me and any cocoa farmer in this country, looking at the price, to produce more. Because as long as I remain the agric minister, they're going to get a lot more for their crop. And I pray, like I told the other Ado, that if it stays the same, then we will even try to legislate for them to continue to get around 70%. So if somebody comes and says that we should have paid more, what is this benchmark?
So the $1,800 is what converts to the 20,943 metric tons.
That's correct.
That's right, at 11.04.
And so what your plan is in terms of the legislation is, for instance, to have it sit within a certain range. Let's say between 65 and 70%. It shouldn't go beyond or below.
I'm even looking at a tighter range of between not lower than 68%.
So just a 2% range there about
70.5
now.
Yeah.
So if it is 68%, then beyond 68% to 100%.
So you want to set a floor percentage,
pretty much,
as opposed to a range, a floor,
so that we look at the screen, we see the number, and that look, we are not going to get below 68% of this, because people have paid, some governments or some managers of Cocoa Board have paid 63% in the past. Others have paid as low as 35% in the past.
Mm.
And look at the gap, you know, and this is the first time we have paid 70+%.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that cocoa farmers don't deserve anything lower than
Less.
68% of the gross FOB.
Okay.
Yeah. By your admission, that Cote d'Ivoire has a slightly different model.
Right.
One wants to find out if they have a different model. Could that model be a contributing factor to why they are producing far more in terms of volume than we are? Is there any, and from the layman's perspective, if the pudding is as sweet as it is now, why don't we go big? What's the gap between our production practices or the reasons behind why Cote d'Ivoire is probably doing
About 2 million.
They're almost at 2 million and we're still hovering around 1 million.
Their farmers are not protected. Our farmers are. Their cocoa is not premium. Ghana's cocoa is the premium cocoa of the world.
Okay.
It means that there's something wrong with their production. Our cocoa farmers are protected. And you see, one thing that brought about the cocoa bills, and I have a different model, different thinking about that, is at one point in time, the prices being paid to the farmers, okay, was more than what the world market achieved price was. And so Cocoa Board had to go and borrow.
So they were selling at a loss.
Yes. Cocoa Board had to go and borrow.
To augment that gap.
And then that borrowing led to 15%, now jumped to 36%, and then all their troubles as we know it. Okay, so our farmers, in a way, are protected from those shocks on the market. But if you average it out, it's good. Now, the benefits that our cocoa farmers also require from Cocoa Board, they don't get that in Cote d'Ivoire. Okay, the other advantage that Cote d'Ivoire has in this case is they have large cocoa plantations. Large, and that's something that I'm encouraging Cocoa Board. If we're going to continue to depend on one leg on cocoa, of course there are now other anchors of our economy, but if we're going to continue to depend on our competitive advantage, which is cocoa, then we need to get people like you, the adults, you know, to invest in large cocoa plantations. Have you ever seen one large 1,000-hectare cocoa plantation in this country before?
No.
All the cocoa farms that you see, 5 acres, 10 acres, the one that your grandfather left you.
Yes.
What, 2 acres?
At Nyamebeche.
Yes, 2 acres here and there. You don't really, if you go to Cote d'Ivoire, they are large cocoa plantations. And that is where now I'm asking Cocoa Board to focus, to employ and help private sector people. Since now the money is good, you know, and I don't have a cocoa farm. You know, my grandfather had a cocoa farm, and then I benefited from cocoa scholarship. But I'm now going to look for that cocoa farm of my grandfather and see how I can expand it. Because we're paying 1,300 a bag. I want in on it. Are you with me? So, but we need to get people to go into large-scale cocoa plantations. So those are the advantages that Cote d'Ivoire has over us. But in terms of protection of our cocoa farmers, we have a greater advantage. And that is why now you see the rate at which their crop is dropping. We're going to lose about 20% of their crop. Because we have Kodapec. Immediately there's black pod on your farm, Cocoa Board is coming.
Yeah.
Cote d'Ivoire, that's not the case. So you have black pod, the farmers don't have money, they suffer on the crop.
In our case, have we plotted all of these cocoa farms to be able to have visibility and to address it?
Yes, we do. Yes, we have. We have cocoa extensions, we have cocoa health, we have, you know, fertilizers, spraying. We have over 42,000 people that we employ to spray cocoa farms across the country. Major investment that we put in cocoa in Ghana for the production of the crop. Our neighboring countries don't have that. And so we cannot, if we rely so much on this crop, leave it entirely to the weather and market forces to determine. We need to control and regulate for our own yes.
You earlier talked about the 3 pillars or the 3 mandates that you were given by the president. One, of course, to improve yields, food security,
import substitution.
Exactly. I want to go to import substitution. I mean, you talked about rice. We're currently at producing to about 49%. So there's still a bit of a gap. The recent events in Niger has placed in sharp focus the supply of onions.
Yeah.
Is there any specific proactive plans under PFJ2 to sort of shift a certain focus on a crop that has a shorter turnaround time as a means to create a value chain and, more importantly, improve on our import substitution index?
Yes, we onion is part of the 10 crops plus poultry that we have. We are focusing on under PFJ2. We are dealing with and the 10 crops under the vegetable. We have onion, pepper, tomatoes, and we have a 5-year plan. Okay, to reach about 103% self-sufficiency.
Okay.
We start this year. Currently, we are on onion. We're about 29% self-sufficiency. We produce about 147,000 metric tons. By the end of this year, with the programs that we are putting in place, the farms that we have identified, the areas under irrigation that we are working on, we intend to raise that to 206 metric tons before the end of the year. Before the end of this year. Before the end of
That's a big jump.
Yeah, well, we have to do it.
So from what 206?
We are 147
to 206.
Yes, because we have identified farms, we have identified zones. We know the seed requirement, we know the fertilizer requirement, and we know the people required, and we're just going to get it done. That's just what it is. We're just going to get it done. Next year we'll move from 206.
That's in excess of 40%.
Well,
yeah, and it's about that.
Whatever in excess it is, either we decide to feed ourselves or we keep sitting here lamenting.
And sending our money to other people.
Pretty much. We imported close to $24 million worth of onions from Niger alone.
The figure again?
$24 million of you know the funny part, my guy? The onion people came to see me that I should help them bring their
onions down.
Onion from Niger. I said, well, if you were producing it in Tamale or in Upper West, I'll help you bring it down. You know, and they told me that they take 25 million cedis a week. I'm not saying that this is from my statistical dip. This is me and the cocoa traders in my conference room. Sorry, onion importers. In my conference room, and they're telling me that they take in excess of 25 million cedis a week in foreign currency, in cash.
That's 1.3 billion Ghana cedis a year.
Well, that's about 25. That's $24 million. So about $2 million.
$2 million a week.
A week in cash.
Translates into over $100 million a year.
A year. And I'm saying that, my guy, they take it in cash to Niger, either in dollar or in CFA, to go and buy onion. I need a quarter of that to fix our onion problem with the lands available in the Volta region, in some sections of the Bryan Acheampong region, and in the northern region. We fix this problem with a quarter of that amount of money.
Yeah.
They take this to Niger to produce tomato onions. And you know what? Niger is very happy because in Niger they produce about $26 million worth of onions. Ghana takes 24. Nigeria takes about $800,000. Ghana is the biggest.
They produce 26 million. We take 24 million.
Yeah. And then the rest of our neighbors.
No, do they eat onion?
of course, everybody eats onions.
At the moment, but
they need your money.
Are you kidding me?
Well, that's the size of the problem that we have to deal with. But we're going to deal with it. We're going to deal with it. Under PFJ2, as Inshira asked, we have a clear plan. Which plan we're going to put it on the dailies, on our WhatsApp platforms, so Ghanaians know the size of our problem and how we are dealing with it year on year, and that we are all able to follow and track. Because Ghana's food resilience and food security is not my home food security, it's ours. And therefore, we all need to know where we're going. Is that Sedem?
That's
Sedem, why are you interrupting my friend? Go and kneel down in the corner.
Ready.
So that day, you know,
He was your cubicle boy.
I have to discipline.
You have to do everywhere you find yourself. Yes.
Anyway, so we all have to agree as a country, and that is what we have done. We have identified all the 10 crops and poultry. Okay, we have worked out the plan. In that detail, like where we are going to plant what, the yield, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to let Ghanaians see and follow our map to food security. That is the only way out. And of course, government will put in the investment to get out of this mess. It's just good for Ghana.
Absolutely.
And we're going to do it.
In terms of investment, I think there's a project, there's the Agricultural Water Management Project.
Yes.
What's the state of play on that?
Well, I've been there 5 months. I've met with these people once. I've seen the document. I don't agree with certain aspects of it. I just want to move away from the theory of agriculture. You know, projects in agriculture, renovation of this, rehabilitation of this, painting of this, facelift of this. All I want to see is planting of this and planting of that, and the harvest of this and the harvest of that. Anything that has to do with the theory of agriculture and this smart and this one. My guy, I'm not interested. So if there's a program, you know, worth $100 million, whether it's a loan or a grant, and all I see in the various components of that program is grammar, that in the end, I will not be able to show that this is what Ghana has achieved of it. I'm not going to do it.
So what emphasis is PFJ2 placing on irrigation? Because water is critical to agriculture.
So what we have done is that we have various irrigation schemes in the country, most of them up north, and they function. Tamni, Via, Butanga, those from the north are very familiar with this. I've just commissioned 13 more irrigation schemes to be constructed so that we can have all year round cropping. The other investment through the food resilience program coming up in irrigation. If you go to the Kpong left bank, there's a major scheme investment put in there. Ghana Cares is also coming up with some investment in irrigation. We believe that there has to be all year round cropping on these 10 crops and poultry. So set up agricultural zones, and within these zones, put irrigation schemes to allow for all year round cropping. And that is why I'm certain that with the targets that we have set up for ourselves on the 10 crops and poultry, we will be able to achieve them.
And maybe just to offer you an opportunity to clarify, because we know for every kind of industry or product, I mean, that tripod of industry, academia, and policy, I mean, needs to be in there. So when you say, for instance, like you look at the theory thing, it's grammar and it's not. Are you saying that academia is not going to be very integral to your strategy dealing with the food and agricultural sector?
I said theory, not academia, because research is extremely important for seed production, crop, and all those things. But I'm saying what I have seen, a lot of the programs and projects on agriculture that I have seen is a pure waste of money. And I'm not going to endorse anything that wastes our collective resources. just because somebody has decided that he will give you a loan or a grant, and therefore in our name, and therefore can be wasted on workshops and forums and fora and conferences,
capacity building
and all those things, usage of tablet on, and some of these things. My God, I mean, we have serious problems to deal with. When we have dealt with these problems and we are able to feed ourselves, then we can look at all those cosmetics, that makes a Greek fine and sexy and all those. But at this point, we have to get our hands dirty. And all programs, investments that are coming in, I want to see it having a direct
impact
effect on land development and production. And the direct investment in seed development, land development, and production. That's what it is.
And staying on that, I mean, we getting it right, land development and also on the product. And PFG2 was launched. And I mean, it's one that people have spoken about a lot. PFG1, a number of people had all kinds of concerns around them. Food security being core to it. I mean, when you look at the framework of PFG1, it was very much focused on the peasant farmers, people in private sector doing it at a smaller scale. Among that other things, how does PFG2 distinguish in such a way that it addresses the issues of PFG1 and also, I mean, introduces other new things which deals with foreseeable challenges that our economy has to deal with? We all know that per the target, global food security, we are giving ourselves a target of 2030 to be globally food secure. We here, how are we using PFG2 to reach that?
We intend to deal with it by 2028. We are not looking at 2030. By 2030, we should have been teaching other countries how to meet their target. We will deal with this food security matter by 2028. We're hoping to get it done by 2027. We are giving ourselves 1 year to mop up, clean up, perfect all the structures that we are putting in place. So a 1 year buffer to 2028, we should be able to achieve that target. But look, anytime I hear many people, then I know that propaganda is what follows.
People know.
Many people. We are 30 million plus.
When
I say many people, then you have 3 people forming concerned people against PFJ1, and then they do a press conference, and then you hear many people.
Honorable, let me clarify.
Please.
So we are at a place where headline inflation is somewhere around 40-something, it's come down. But then food inflation alone is in excess of 50%. What one would have typically expected is once we are implementing planting for food and jobs, one of the things we're supposed to do is to increase yields. What that means is if the supply has increased, all things being equal, given a certain demand, prices will fall. But we are seeing prices still increasing at a certain pace. And so it does not have to be a matter of pinpointing individuals, but even the numbers speak to the effects that there are still concerns around PFJ1.
That is exactly what the problem is. That is exactly what I mean. Giving supply and demand, price must fall. I'm saying that I'm going to MOFA this month.
Yes,
we're going to the statistical service. They release the consumer price index.
Right.
Okay, we are also going to release our commodity
price index.
Yes, commodity. Because anytime they come up with a consumer price index, people want to chase me out of my office. I'm incompetent. Yes. But how do I, if you look at what goes into the consumer, all those kinds of things that are.
So you are saying the basket is not everything in there that you control.
The things that I control, go and look at the prices. I'm producing farm gate price of maize, 50 kg, 200 cedis in Tamale. Okay, it gets to Accra, in Kumasi, and it is 800 cedis. It's left a Greek.
It's gone into logistics.
I'm saying the middlemen are the ones playing it. What I am going to do going forward is to make sure that if the farm gate is 200, I make sure that I have a mirror of that farm gate in Accra.
How would that be achieved?
I mean, control the distribution. Bring the food from the farm gate to a mirror of that farm gate close to Accra, so that when the market queens come and take it, they will not now add those exorbitant prices.
So MOFA is going to go into the logistics of it.
But I'm saying, if we are responsible for food, my position is Minister for Food
And
Agriculture. And therefore, there's an aspect of food that I have to deal with. The agriculture is a production. The food aspect, I have to deal with it. So if I'm producing maize at 200 Ghana cedis at the farm gate, and somebody is selling it at 800 cedis on the market, as they're doing now, then I need to be able to bring it closer to the market, putting systems that will reduce the
effect of the middlemen.
Yes.
Just to wrap up the conversation, to bring a few comments from our listeners. So one of our listeners is saying, my take is on smuggling, because the minister has made a specific promise to deal with the menace. He has announced an Operation Catch and Share policy, and I want him to expatiate on that. Secondly, how will the ministry monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of the Catch and Share operation and other incentives to deter smuggling? What metrics or indicators will be used to assess the impact of these measures?
Thank you. That's a great question. I'm sure it came from a very smart person. Now, Catch and Share is simple. The cocoa crop belongs to the state. We buy all crop, and we are responsible by law, Cocoa Board, to buy cocoa that is produced, and we are the only persons that Cocoa Board can export cocoa out of this country. So when you are smuggling cocoa and you are caught, okay, whoever catches the smugglers, and we seize the cocoa now belongs to the person who caused a citizen's arrest, or the people that causes a citizen. So they are going to now sell it to us. Okay, so we are going to buy the cocoa that they are bringing full price, and we're giving them the money. We are not going to ask them questions, where is it from, as long as it was arrested, you brought it. And when we confiscate the vehicle and we go through the process and auction the vehicle, that one we share the price. So not only are we buying the cocoa from you full price, buying from the people that arrested the cocoa full price, we are also sharing the proceeds of the vehicle 50-50, or as required by law. Because we don't have, like other countries, we don't have enough people patrolling our borders. And so we require the services of all Ghanaians to help us catch those who are smuggling our cocoa.
Citizens, not spectators.
Yes, we should all get involved. If you help catch it, for the cocoa in the truck, that one you are getting full price, 1,300 a bag.
Wow.
So you can count the number of bags in the truck, and that's the money that you are getting.
Wow.
And we are promising you that the vehicle that is being used for the smuggling, that one, we are going to sell it by law, and we'll share the proceeds 50-50. So that's Catch and Share.
Well, let's not say it loud. We found a new business model, so we'll deal with that.
No, I saw the look in your eyes.
Just by way of a follow-up to that, and someone, the same person I believe is saying, apart from using force, or the powers that the...
It is not
No,
force.
I'm coming. Aside from the powers that the government is endued with, will the minister consider raising awareness among cocoa farmers and the general public about the negative consequences of cocoa smuggling and the benefits of selling cocoa within Ghana at the new price?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you see, it is not the farmers that smuggle the cocoa. But a farmer will produce what? 20 bags, 50 bags, 100 bags. Most farmers are not going to risk 50 bags of cocoa and put in a truck and drive to.
Is it the LBCs?
Well, there are some merchants in the middle who aggregate and then ship.
Who are not necessarily licensed.
These are not farmers. These are not Cocoa Board staff. And in the press, in my speech in Tepa, I made it clear that they are merchants who aggregate this cocoa.
So he goes to this place, picks up 10, pays cash, picks up another 20.
And then they are the ones that are exporting the cocoa. So I wanted to go on your tangent. The majority of farmers, but all farmers, I believe, are honest. And most merchants or LBCs are honest. There's merchants that are playing
those middlemen,
and they have a hide and seek to deal with.
Honorable, it's been wonderful having you. Unfortunately, time won't allow us, and we need to come and we want to follow the money.
Yeah,
we want to follow the money with all of these implementations. Public interest question. One gentleman, Hamdu Tanimu, he's asking, are there any plans on posting agri-college graduates? And he adds, please.
Well, please, you can be sure. I don't think there's a problem, but I will look into it, and then if I can, I'll take his number and revert back to him. But I believe that that's the order. They post them.
Yes.
Because the National Service is posting about 5,000 agri graduates. I don't know what happens to them after that, but I can find out and give him.
We'll be very grateful to be able to give you feedback.
We'll do that.
And Honorable, we are grateful again for making time for us in the studio. It's been an enthralling chat. At least we have identified a new business model that we can explore.
Well, the first business model that you have to employ before I leave.
Yes.
You've served me made in some country else's
coffee.
You need to have made in Ghana cocoa in your studio. The next time I don't see that, I'm not talking.
Honorable, I'll come to your office. Relax.
If you had asked for cocoa, I would have given you CPC cocoa.
Why are you stressing? He's the Minister for Food and Agriculture. I'll go to his office. We will go there. We will go there. He will point us to the places to find them.
Yes.
And he will finance it. Thank you very much, Honorable.
Let's go to Pidgin now. Thank you.
The Honorable Bryan Acheampong is the Minister for Food and Agriculture. He's been at post for just about 5 months, and a lot of significant things happening in his space, and we are very grateful that he made time for us.
Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.